We back with Mr. Nightmare, man. Three disturbing true stories where the police could not help. And the police have never helped in no scary situation, bro. My man's talking about re-upload or translate this content on YouTube or any other platform such as TikTok is not allowed and will be removed when found, which may result in a termination of infringing accounts. If you see content being uploaded to any other channel or platform, please inform me. Re-upload translating this content on YouTube or any other platform such as TikTok is not allowed and will be removed. But let me explain what he's talking about. He's not talking about reactors. You feel me? He's not talking about people who's reacting to his content and uploading it, bro. He's talking about the people, right, that just outright hit the download button, or the people who just actually take his whole content, right, and claim it as for themselves, claim it for and claim it as theirs. You feel me? And using it for their own monetary gain. You feel me? He's not talking about people that's reacting. You feel me? Because people that react, you feel me? We don't take content. You feel me? He's talking about people that like they actually. Somebody's like like the people that actually taking his work. People that stealing his work, bro. But we finna react to it, man. Shout out to Mr. Nightmares, man. Go check him out. He up. Let's go, bro. Stop stealing my man's shit, man. Cause if I see you stealing my man's shit, I'ma snitch on your ass, bro. I'm snitching, bro. I'm hitting that email up. I'm hitting him up. I'm hitting him up, bro. I'm sliding with Mr. Nightmare, bro. Mr. Nightmare, bro. I'm sliding with you, bro. I'm sliding for you, my man. I'ma slide for you, bro. Y'all ain't finna fuck up what we got going on.
This happened in the fall of 2021 when I was living alone in a rented townhouse in southern Illinois. It was my first time ever living by myself, and even though I was technically an adult, 27, with a full-time job and a stable routine, I still had a lot of nerves about the idea. I'd just gone through a rough breakup, and I thought the silence and solitude might help me process everything. The townhouse was part of a small row of identical units, kind of plain but clean and quiet, tucked away in a sleepy cul-de-sac just off a rural highway. The neighborhood had that sterile suburban vibe. Lots of beige vinyl siding, trimmed hedges, wind chimes, and mailboxes with family names stenciled on them. Mostly older folk, but a few young families. I didn't know any of my neighbors well, but I liked it that way. I kept to myself. But almost right away, I noticed one person who stood out from the rest. He lived 3 doors down. A tall, heavy-set man, probably in his mid-40s, with a scruffy beard and a weird habit of standing outside his house at night, sometimes just pacing or smoking. Sometimes doing nothing at all, just staring. I'd pull into my driveway after work around 9 or 10 p.m., and there he'd be, leaning against his porch rail or just standing at the edge of his driveway facing the street. He never waved, never smiled. He just stared. Even if I looked directly at him, I tried to ignore it. A couple of times I mentioned it to friends or my mom, and they said maybe he was just a night owl or had insomnia, but there was something unsettling about him, like he was always watching but never participating. It wasn't just that he was there, it was the stillness. He didn't fidget or check his phone or shift his weight. He just stood there like a statue. I told myself not to be paranoid, but the more time passed, the more that gnawing feeling in my gut grew. Then the noises started. It was around mid-September when I first heard it. I had just gotten home from work after a long shift. I worked late hours managing inventory at a distribution center, and I usually got in around 10:30 p.m.
I ain't lying to you, bro. Third shift at a distribution warehouse center, bro. You got the hole. But I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That's where the hole would be at, bro. The hole. I work third shift. What's going on? What's going on, man? I work third shift at a warehouse, bro. And I'm telling you, bro, we got the hose, bro. We got it, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
Exhausted, grabbing a bite to eat, and crashing.
Let go.
That night, I fell asleep around midnight. At exactly 2:37 a.m., I woke up to a sound I can only describe as metal scraping against wood. At first, I thought I had dreamed it, but then I heard it again. A long, slow creaking noise, like an old gate opening. My bedroom was on the first floor, at the back of the unit, and I had a sliding glass door with vertical blinds that led to a small fenced-in backyard. I sat up in bed, heart racing, and listened. There was a pause. Then I heard footsteps, soft crunching sounds like someone walking slowly across gravel. My entire backyard was lined with decorative rock instead of grass, so you could hear every footstep clearly. These weren't animal sounds. I grabbed my...
You trying to react to it real quick? Let me know. You know what? Because I feel like no streamer has ever reacted to a fan shit, bro. Really, bro. I do it, bro. I'll react to your shit, bro. I'll react to your shit, bro. I'll react to it, bro. Hit that. Bet, I got you, bro. I'm gonna react to it, bro. I'm gonna react to it, bro. I'm gonna react to it, bro. Not right now, cause I ain't lying. This going on YouTube. They going on YouTube right now. For the YouTubers, let me explain. If you watch this on YouTube, I'll react all my shit on Twitch, then I'll upload it to YouTube. But yeah, I got you.
phone and crept out of bed.
Hit that follow button. I got you. Koya, go to bed.
I didn't have a weapon, just a dull kitchen knife I kept in my nightstand, just in case, which at the time...
Oh, they run that back a little bit. Like, get the vibes back.
Was on the first floor, at the back of the unit. Yeah. I had a sliding glass door with vertical blinds that led to a small fenced-in backyard. I sat up in bed, heart racing, and listened. There was a pause. Then I heard footsteps, soft crunching sounds like someone walking slowly across gravel. My entire backyard was lined with decorative rock instead of grass, so you could hear every footstep clearly. These weren't animal sounds. I grabbed my phone and crept out of bed. I didn't have a weapon, just a dull kitchen knife I kept in my nightstand, just in case, which at the time felt kind of ridiculous.
It is definitely
I crouched
ridiculous.
by the edge of the window and peeked through the blinds. I couldn't see anything. The motion light wasn't on, which meant either they were out of range or had come in a different way. I dialed 911. The dispatcher was calm, asked for my address, and told me officers were en route. I stayed crouched in the dark, barely breathing. About 10 minutes later, red and blue lights flickered through my front window.
Never that serious, my boy.
I got up, opened the door, and met the two officers outside.
The nigga did that as if they was in your crib. I ain't gonna lie, boy, you too scared to be living alone. You need your roommate. If you that scared, bro, if you hear noises outside, bro, and it got you crouching behind your bed, bro, yeah, bro, you don't need to be living alone, bro. Yeah, I ain't like you need to find you a spouse or get you a roommate, my boy. Get you a
explained everything, what I heard, what time it started. One of them walked around the back while the other stayed with me and asked a few questions.
Okay.
The officer in the yard came back and said the gate was closed and there were no signs of tampering, but said he'd write up a report just in case.
They can hop
the
gate, bro.
They didn't see anyone. No footprints or damage. Basically no crime. One of them actually said, probably just a raccoon, and gave me a look that clearly said, you're wasting our time. I didn't argue. They left after about 10 minutes. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next morning, I went outside to check the backyard myself. That's when I noticed something strange. There was a flat stone about the size of a paperback book, wedged under the bottom edge of the wooden fence gate. I hadn't noticed it before.
Why would you even notice it?
The gate had a heavy spring that made it swing closed automatically, but the stone looked like it had been placed there specifically to stop it from closing all the way. It was subtle, like something someone would do if they wanted to come back later and slip in without making noise. I picked up the rock and tossed it across the yard. I called the police again and told them what I'd found. They told me they'd note it in the report, but again said there wasn't much they could do.
Yeah, they're not doing shit for you.
I asked if they could talk to any of the neighbors or check for cameras. They said no, unless a crime was committed, they couldn't investigate. I felt like I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
2 nights later, it escalated. At exactly 2:14 a.m., I woke up again, this time to the sound of my back door handle turning. The handle rattled gently at first, like someone testing it, then a harder jiggle, like someone trying to open it. I sat up in bed, heart hammering. I couldn't see anything through the blinds, but I could feel.
Bro, I would let off the biggest. I would have let off the big. Who the fuck that is? I would have hit like you could tell what the diamond. You could tell what the affix is, bro. But it couldn't be. This ain't no nigga in this story, bro. I swear to God, bro. Get you a dog. Get you something, bro. You cannot fend for yourself, bro. Bro, you gotta get you a dog or something, my boy. Cause I ain't gonna lie, bro. Natural selection, bro.
Someone standing on the other side. My mouth went dry. I picked up my phone with shaking hands and called the police again. While I waited, I crouched in the hallway out of view. I didn't have a gun or dog, just that stupid kitchen knife. My motion light clicked on, and through a tiny gap in the blinds, I saw a shadow move across the window. It was a man. He didn't run or try to hide. He just stood there. The same 2 officers showed up again. This time, they actually found footprints in the gravel, big ones, heading right up to the door. But again, they said since no entry had been made, there wasn't enough to go on. They promised to patrol the area more often and told me to keep my doors locked. The next day, I installed a camera. It was one of those mid-range Wi-Fi security cams. I set one up above the back door and another above the front porch. That night, I didn't go to bed. I sat in the living room with the lights off, watching the live feed on my phone. 2:14 a.m. came and went. Nothing happened. Then, at 2:23, the back camera triggered. A man stepped into frame. He walked in through the gate like he knew exactly how to move to avoid the motion sensor until the last second. He was tall and broad, wearing a black hoodie with the hood up, jeans and gloves.
That nigga that dies motion sensors, bro?
He walked up to the door, looked up directly at the camera, and smiled. A slow, stretched out grin. Then he backed up, still staring, and disappeared into the dark. I called the police again, and they came back, watched the clip, and admitted that yes, it was unsettling. But since he didn't break in, didn't damage property, and didn't appear to be armed, there was still allegedly nothing they could do.
Man, shoot his
They
ass
wouldn't
at
even
that point,
ask
bro.
the guy down the street to check his doorbell cam. I begged them. They said their hands were tied. That night, I packed a bag and slept at a hotel. When I came back the next day, I found 4 muddy handprints on the glass door. 2 high up and 2 low, like someone had crouched down and just rested their hands there for a while, staring in. I moved out a week later. I broke my lease and forfeited my deposit. I didn't care. I couldn't stay there another night.
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
The final straw was
What a final straw? Let me hear that.
the note I found wedged in my mailbox the day I left. It was handwritten in small cramped letters on lined notebook paper. It said, "The cops leave, but I don't." I filed one last report.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. At that point, bro, I would have been out. I ain't gonna lie to you. Me and my nigga would have been outside waiting on his ass. We would have been outside waiting on his ass, my boy. I would have shot his ass. I ain't gonna lie. If you call the cops, right, they on your property, right, and you filed multiple complaints, you got footage of this man harassing you, stepping on your property, trying to break in and shit, bro. You're legally obligated to send his out of Yahweh, bro. You're legally obligated to send this nigga to his next life, bro. To factory reset himself. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Could not be me. I would have beat Buddy ass. I would have beat Buddy ass, bro. I would have put belt ass. Bro.
The officer I spoke to that time looked genuinely disturbed by the note. He promised they'd do a wellness check on the neighborhood, but it was too late. I never went back. About a month later, I got a message on Facebook from a girl named Kayla. She said she was the new tenant who had moved into the unit after me. Her message said, "Hi, sorry to bother you. I think you used to live here. Did you ever have someone in a black hoodie hanging around the backyard? I keep hearing footsteps at night, and last night, someone knocked on the glass door around 2 a.m. and just stood there." I didn't reply. I didn't want to know what happened next.
Oh, you a bitch. Oh, okay. That had nothing to do with the cops. That one had nothing to do with the cops. Oh, you was just a bitch. Oh, you bitch made. Oh yeah, you bitch made. Oh yeah. How you that bitch made? Nigga scared to reply back. Yeah, that boy a bitch. I don't know who raised these niggas. I don't know who. I ain't gonna lie to you. And my son told me that story and how and everything and what he was doing to that bitch, bro. I would have been the most disappointed ass dad. I would have been the most disappointed motherfucker on the earth, bro. How you that much of a bitch? I would have been like, bro, a shorty who used to who now live there texting you, bro, and you were too scared to text back because what she told you, oh, you a bitch. It was not a man. You was not a man, bro. You was not a man, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That's a zero. I gotta give you a 0
I
out of 10
work for a
that.
property preservation company. Basically, we handle foreclosed homes, securing them, cleaning them out, winterizing them, sometimes even boarding them up if there's been vandalism. It's not glamorous work, but it pays well, and for the most part, it's quiet. You spend a lot of time alone in houses that used to belong to people who are long gone. Sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's just boring, but every once in a while, you get a house that feels unsettling. This happened in 2020.
You know what's crazy? As a kid, right? We used to play in abandoned houses like this, bro. I feel like, bro, you did not have a childhood if you never ran and played in an abandoned house like this, bro. I promise to God, I feel like every motherfucker as a kid has done that, bro. Seen a house like this, bro, with their friends and just played in it, bro.
Every once in a while, you get a house that feels unsettling. This happened in 2020 when I was assigned to clear out a property in a rural part of upstate New York. It was one of those dying places, only one gas station, half the businesses shuttered, roads cracked and overgrown. The house itself was a small, one-story place off a dirt road, surrounded by overgrown brush and woods on 3 sides. No other homes nearby, just trees and silence. According to the file, the house had been foreclosed after the owner, an elderly woman, passed away, and no heirs had stepped forward to claim the estate. The utilities had been shut off for over a year. Our job was to catalog any remaining property, empty it out, and secure it for winter. I drove up on a Monday morning around 9 a.m. with a small box truck and all my gear. From the outside, the house looked intact. Windows closed, door locked, roof fine. Just a lot of weeds and vines climbing.
I think it's the first Mr. Nightmare story where he has music playing in the background. That's an amazing touch.
Up the porch. I had to shove the front door open because it had swollen in the frame, but once inside, everything looked pretty standard. It was dusty, stale air and faded furniture. Then
How
my
the fuck
work
the roof
phone
look
rang.
like that?
It startled me because I had no signal out there. I'd already checked and noticed I had no bars, but the phone buzzed anyway. There was no number on the caller ID. It just said unknown caller. I answered, and there was nothing. Just a low crackling sound, like static. I said hello twice, then hung up. Chalked it up to a glitch. I got to work. I always start with photos, documenting every room, every item. The living room was cluttered with old furniture, lace curtains, some framed paintings. It reminded me of my grandma's house. Heavy furniture, doilies, porcelain figures. The hallway had a smell. Not rot, more like mildew and dust, and something faintly metallic. There were 3 bedrooms. One had been stripped bare except for a sagging mattress on the floor. Another was clearly a sewing room, with thread spools everywhere and a dusty machine on the desk. I took a closer look, and there was a corkboard filled with old newspaper clippings. They were mostly obituaries. Dozens of them, all clipped out with scissors and pinned carefully to the board. No names I recognized, all local. I moved on. In the master bedroom, there was a rotary phone on the nightstand. I remember stopping and staring at it for a second because I hadn't seen one in years. It was off-white, yellowed with age, with a long coiled cord. The kind of phone that would never ring again because the line had been cut long ago. I moved on to the bathroom. That's when my phone rang again.
Wait, hold on. So we're gonna ignore these demonic ass symbols on that phone. So you're not gonna question. Oh, okay, you notice the off-white, the rot and the yellowish tint on it, but you ain't gonna say nothing about the demonic symbols on it, bro. I ain't gonna lie, if I would have seen that phone right there, bro, and I would have seen the demonic symbol, bro, the demonic symbols on it, and I know I have no center on my phone, right, and I'm getting calls for unknown numbers, I would have left. I would have played it so fucking smooth, bro. Come tell you something, right? If you watch horror movies, you know what I'm talking about. Bro, you just can't, if you can't acknowledge the ghost, or you can't acknowledge something is wrong. You feel me? Cause once you openly acknowledge it, once you're like, oh shit, something ain't right, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Once you do that right, your ass is grass. Your ass is grass, bro. All the windows gonna shut, all the doors gonna close, then everything gonna become indestructible. You feel me? Then your ass is cooked. You feel me? Then when shit gonna hit the fan, and the fan gonna hit the shit. You feel me? But right, but the trick is, right, if you don't acknowledge it, right, if you acknowledge it, but keep it to yourself, and you be like, damn. And you be like, damn, what the fuck? Oh shit, damn, I left one of my tools. But you gotta say that like, I'm like, man, what the fuck? You gotta check your pockets. You gotta do some really good acting, bro. You gotta be like, damn, what the fuck damn, I left my other bag in the car. Fuck, you gotta leave some shit behind. You gotta leave some important shit behind. You feel me? You can't be like, damn, I gotta go to the car and grab that shit and pack everything with you. You feel me? No, bro, you gotta leave some equally important shit behind. So the ghost will be like, or the spirit entity can be like, maybe he is gonna grab some shit. Then, right, you gotta look in you just can't hop in your car and drive off. You feel me? You gotta like actually look for some shit, right? And then you gotta start from the back seat, right? Work your way to the front seat, right? Start your car up, right? Hop in that bitch and let go. You feel me, bro? You gotta do it like that, bro. But you can't just be like, you can't be in that situation and openly acknowledge some shit, bro. Your ass gonna be cooked, bro.
Age with a long,
you gotta
coiled
have finesse
cord,
with it, bro.
the kind of phone that would never ring again because the line had been cut long ago. I moved on to the bathroom. That's when my phone rang again. It said unknown caller again. This time, I hesitated. I picked it up, stepped out into the hallway, and answered. Again, nothing. But this time, after about 5 seconds, I heard a whisper. Very soft, so quiet I could barely make it out. It said, "Don't answer the phone in the bedroom." Then the line went dead. I stood there, frozen, heart pounding. The house was...
I knew it was something about that fucking phone, bro. I knew it was something about that fucking phone in that bedroom, bro. How can you not acknowledge the demonic symbols on that bitch, bro? Bro, if it's any symbol that I do not recognize, bro, I'm going to immediately treat it like it's demonic, bro. I would have saw that phone, I would have left. I told you what I would have did. I'm telling you, bro.
It was dead silent. I checked the windows, all closed. Nobody was outside, and there was no sign of forced entry. My first thought was that...
Why the fuck would you look for signs of forced entry from a phone call? Due to a phone call about somebody telling you don't answer the phone in the bedroom. I think you're fucking retarded, bro. He gotta be. I ain't gonna lie to you, Mr. Nightmare. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. The protagonist in this whole story, yeah, high-key dumb, low-key dumb.
Someone had pranked me. It's what anyone would think. Maybe one of the other crew guys was messing with me, but no one else knew I was there that early. And again, I had no signal. I checked my phone. 1 bar, then nothing. like it flickered in and out of existence. I tried calling my supervisor, but the call failed. I decided to finish the job quickly. I started boxing up loose items in the living room, books, figurines, dusty glassware, but the whole time I felt off, like I was being watched. I kept glancing toward the hallway, half expecting to see someone standing down there.
You kept working? You kept working? You got a number on this phone call telling you, bro, don't answer phones in the bedroom. You got one of them, you got hit one of them short IG horror story scenarios, and you just kept on working. Natural selection, bro. You deserve it. Anything happened to this motherfucker right here, bro, he deserve it, bro. Natural selection, bro. Natural selection is at an all-time high, bro. Business is booming, bro. The stock is up, bro. And natural selection, bro.
Then the phone rang a third time. But not my phone. The rotary phone in the bedroom. I heard it from across the house. A shrill, mechanical ring that echoed through the rooms. That phone should have been dead. The line was disconnected. No dial tone and no service. But yet it rang, like an old-fashioned bell.
Hey, viewers. Viewers, fans, subscribers, followers, I don't care. I got $10. I bet $10. I got $10. He answered that shit. I put 10 on it. No matter of fact, I put $12 on it. I put $12 on it, bro. I put $12. He answered that shit, bro. $12 he answered, bro. And like it's not an edited video, bro. This is I'm filming it straight off Twitch. So this is the first live. This is a live reaction. So I don't know if he's gonna answer it or not. You feel me? But I'm telling you, I got $12. He answered that bitch. I got 12 on it. I got 12 he do. I got 12 he answered that bitch.
I walked slowly down the hallway toward the bedroom.
I got 12 he
still
answered.
in my hand. It rang again and again. I stepped into the doorway. The phone sat on the nightstand, the receiver trembling slightly with each ring. There was no chance I was picking up that phone. The rings eventually stopped. I backed out of the room. I wanted to leave, but part of my job was securing the property, and I still had—
Wait, hear me out. Hear me out. I know he said there's no chance he's gonna answer that phone, right? I know he said there's no chance he's gonna answer that phone, right? But let the story finish. I bet he answer that bitch eventually, bro.
to check the basement. I almost said screw it, but something made me keep going. Maybe it was pride. Maybe I just didn't want to admit how scared I was. The basement door was in the kitchen. I opened it slowly. The stairs creaked as I stepped down, flashlight in hand. I smelled mold and something like rust. There were shelves along the wall, filled with old paint cans and some broken furniture. In the back corner, there was a small table. On it, a cordless phone, a newer model. It was gray plastic and covered in dust, and next to it, a stack of yellowed notebooks. I picked one up and flipped through it. Each page had a name and a date and a short sentence. Lena H., July 3rd, 2019, rang once, didn't answer. Carl M., September 12th, 2019, picked up, warned him. It was more like this, dozens of entries. I dropped the notebook, and my heart felt like it completely dropped out of my body as I looked around the basement, fearing I wasn't alone down there and that someone was watching me from any corner of the darkness.
What kind of basement is that, bro?
I rushed back up the stairs, looking behind me the whole time, heart in my throat. I didn't finish the job. I drove straight back to the office and turned in my report.
Damn, that lame man nigga ain't answer the phone. Damn. So he didn't answer the phone. I ain't gonna lie, I thought this dumb man was gonna answer the phone, bro. Damn, bro. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. Like, Like, y'all gotta put me on a payment plan, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. We gonna have to talk about them $12, bro. We gonna have to talk about them $12, bro. We gonna have to talk about the 12, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Like, but like y'all see where I was coming from, bro. Like, he seemed like the type that would answer the phone. Be reasonable with me, bro. Be reasonable. Put yourself in my shoes, bro. Put yourself in my shoes, bro. You thought he would answer it too, bro. Don't lie, bro. Don't lie, bro. A lot of y'all thought he was gonna answer the phone too, bro.
Didn't tell them everything. I just said the property was unsafe and possibly had squatters.
What the hell
or
do y'all do with the
interference.
police?
They reassigned the job to another crew. 2 days later, I got a text from one of the other guys, Mark. He'd gone out there that morning to finish the job. I hadn't told him specifically what happened. His message said, "The phone in the bedroom with no service rang while I was in there. What the hell?" I called his work cell phone immediately, and he told me he didn't answer the phone in the house because he was too freaked out. The next day, Mark apparently quit without notice and never returned to work. He's not dead or anything. I admittedly looked him up on Facebook eventually, and he posted stuff since then, but I never spoke to him again. I don't know what else he saw in the house, but it must have been something bad enough for him to want to distance himself from this job. My boss did call the police to report the potential squatters after Mark quit, but they found nobody inside of the house. Everything about that house, from its location.
And why they keep saying a crew? Why they keep talking a crew? And y'all solo dolo in that bitch.
To its eerie, dilapidated interior, to the phone calls to my cell phone, and that voice on that line, and that damn house phone ringing. It's like I found myself in a legitimate horror movie. I swear it had to be one of two things: an elaborate sick prank, or an equally elaborate trap.
I give that a 9 out of 10. That story, I give it a 9 out of 10. That was 9 out of 10. That shit was terrifying.
This happened in 2019. I was in my late 20s, living alone in a rental house in a quiet neighborhood on the edge of town. It wasn't a fancy place, just an older one-story house with creaky floors, thin walls, and a small backyard. But it was cheap, and it came with a basement, which I used to store extra furniture and tools and stuff. I moved in that spring, and for the first few months, nothing strange happened. The house had its quirks. Some pipes rattled when you turn on the shower, and there was this one kitchen cabinet that always swung open on its own, but nothing unusual for a place that old. The only part I didn't like was the basement. The door was in the hallway next to the bathroom. It was heavy and stuck a little when you opened it, and the light switch for the basement was actually halfway down the stairs, which meant you had to walk down a few steps in total darkness before you could reach it. The first time I went down there, I honestly felt weird. Not scared exactly, but uneasy. The single bulb didn't do much to light the corners, and the whole place smelled like old wood. But I didn't have any reason to be down there for long, so I stored my things, shut the door, and didn't think much of it. That changed around late October. I had just gotten home from work. I'm a night shift security guard, so I usually get home around 3 a.m., and I was heading to the bathroom before bed when I heard something. It sounded like a faint knock. 3 soft taps. It came from behind the basement door. I froze in place. At first, I thought maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was the pipes or the house settling. But as I stood there, the single bulb didn't do much to light the corner.
I know for a fact he didn't say that came behind the bedroom door.
And the whole place smelled like old wood. But I didn't have any reason to be down there for long, so I stored my things, shut the door, and didn't think much of it. That changed around late October. I had just gotten home from work. I'm a night shift security guard, so I usually get home around 3 a.m., and I was heading to the bathroom before bed when I heard something. It sounded like a faint knock. 3 soft taps. It came from behind the basement door.
Oh, basement door.
I froze in place.
Still terrifying.
At first, I thought maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was the pipes or the house settling. But as I stood there, holding my breath, I heard it again. 3 distinct knocks. I backed up a few steps and stared at the door, and then I waited. There was just silence now. I remember whispering to myself, "It's just the house," even though I didn't really believe it. I didn't open the door. I went to my bedroom, locked the door, and stayed awake for the next 2 hours, listening. Eventually, I fell asleep with the TV on. The next morning, I checked the basement. I opened the door, went down the stairs, and turned on the light. Everything was exactly the way I left it. No signs of anyone having been down there. No
Bro,
foot.
I ain't gonna lie, if your basement look like that, it's somebody in that motherfucker, bro. It's somebody in that motherfucker, bro. Bro, my basement gotta be tiny as fuck, bro. I gotta have the world's tiniest basement, bro. I'm not living in a house, bro, in a basement like that, bro. Matter of fact, I don't even want a basement, bro. I don't even want a basement, bro. Don't give me no fucking basement, bro. Don't give me no fucking basement, bro. My dream house gotta have no basement.
Prints in the dust, no broken windows. I convinced myself it had to be the house shifting or maybe a small animal that got in somehow. I moved on, but a few nights later, it happened again. This time, I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth when I heard the knock. Not 3 taps this time, just 1, but it was loud, and it was close, like someone had used their knuckles hard against the basement door. I opened the bathroom door and looked. The basement door was closed. Nothing moved. The hallway was quiet. I walked over and put my ear against the wood. At first, I heard nothing, but then, very faint, I heard what sounded like breathing. Slow, steady, as if someone was standing on the other side, waiting. I backed away and went to my room, again locking the door. I called my landlord. I told him something strange was going on in the basement, that I thought someone had maybe gotten into the house somehow. He seemed skeptical, but said he'd come by to check it out. When he arrived in the morning, we both went down into the basement together. He looked around, checked the windows, the walls, even the foundation. Nothing was damaged or broken. No signs of a break-in or animals.
Bro, move all that bullshit,
I didn't say
bro.
anything. I couldn't explain what I was hearing, and I didn't want to sound crazy. For the next week, things were quiet. I started to think that maybe I was just overtired or imagining things. I was working too much after all. But then, one night around 2 a.m., I was sitting on my couch watching TV when I heard the basement door creak. Not a knock or slam, but a creak, like it was slowly swinging open. I sat up straight and turned off the volume. I could hear it. The slow, grinding creak of the hinges moving. I got up and peeked down the hallway, and the basement door was wide open. I hadn't opened it in over a week. I hadn't even touched it. I grabbed a flashlight and slowly walked toward it. I didn't have a weapon, but I had no choice. I had to know what was going on. I stood at the top of the stairs and shined the light down. The basement was pitch black. The bulb wasn't on. I reached around the corner and flicked the switch. Nothing. It was dead. The bulb must have burned out. That's when I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. They weren't rushing, they were slow, but they were 100% footsteps. I backed away. My hands were shaking. I slammed the door shut and held the handle tight. For a moment, I felt the pressure of something on the other side, like it was leaning against the door. Then it stopped. I locked the door and called the police. I told them someone was in my basement. They showed up about 10 minutes later, and 2 officers cleared the house and went down into the basement. I stood in the front yard, waiting, and after what felt like forever, they came back up. They said they didn't find anyone. No signs of forced entry.
That has to be the most terrifying shit I've ever heard in my fucking life, bro. All what I'm telling you is fight or flight in that situation. I ain't gonna lie to you. If it's 2 a.m. at night, my basement door and my basement door. First off, that's a fact, bro. Keep your gun. Where your gun at, bro? It would have took me night one, I would have had mine on me. Night one, I would have had me. I would have let them hoes off. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would have let that hoe off. Let me hear my basement door creak open. And that bitch blown wide open when I go check it, bro, and I hear footsteps walking up them stairs, bro. Yeah, bro, I would have let that bitch off. Have you played Friday the 13th game? Nah, I haven't played the Friday the 13th game. Nah, I haven't played Friday the 13th. Now, you can send it, though. I'm curious about it. But I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, I would have let that hoe off, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie. At that point, bro, it's get or be get, bro. It's gotta be got, bro. It's gotta be got at that point, bro. Now, that shit terrifying, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's a 10 out of 10. This shit right here, that's a 10 out of 10. That's a 10 out of 10.
Entry or anyone hiding. Nothing was even disturbed. One of them even tried to laugh it off, asking if I'd been watching scary movies. I knew what I heard. After they left, I didn't go back inside right away. I just stood there, staring at that house. Finally, I went back in, locked every door and window, and stayed up until the sun came up. That morning, I bought a padlock and installed it on the basement door. I didn't care if it was allowed or not. I needed it. For the next month, the basement stayed quiet. No sounds or knocks or anything. I almost let myself relax. Then one night, I got home from work and noticed the basement door was open. Not just unlocked, the padlock was lying on the floor, broken. The door itself was slightly ajar. I hadn't touched that door in weeks. I stood there staring at it, and for the first time, I realized something. Every time this had happened, every noise and every knock, it had always happened at night when I was alone. I did not go down. I couldn't. I packed a bag, left the house, and stayed at a friend's place for a few days. When I came back, I literally nailed the basement door shut. I even wedged a chair against the door. I didn't care if the landlord got mad. I just couldn't look at that door anymore. A few nights later, around 3 a.m., I was laying in bed when I heard a sound that I still can't explain. It was a voice. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even someone speaking. Like the barely audible sound of a rumble of someone's vocal cords. It came from somewhere beneath the floorboards, directly under my bed. That was it. I called the police again. They showed up, did their search, and nothing turned up again. So I packed everything, minus the stuff in the basement, and I left. I didn't even wait for the lease to end. I don't know what was in that basement. I don't want to know. All I can say is that sometimes when I lie awake at night in my new apartment, I think about all of this, and I wonder if I'd waited just a little longer, what would have come up those steps?
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. That right there was a 10 out of 10, bro. Oh, that was a 10 out of fucking 10, bro. I'm finna end this video. And you know what? I'm finna react. No, you're right. I'm finna react to all the shit my followers sent me, bro. I'm finna react to it, bro. Because a lot of y'all been sending me a lot of shit to react to. And I told y'all I was gonna react to it. Hey, you know what? I got much love for my followers. So I'm literally finna, I'm finna react to all my shit my followers sent me. Follow me, right? I'm finna end this stream. And then I'm finna start up another one. Then I'm gonna react to all y'all shit.